Today we are going to be graphing quadratic equations. How about we put solving and graphing quadratic equations? That's better. Solving and graphing quadratic equations. We're going to call this part 3. We're actually on part 3. We have part 4 will probably be Thursday. And then we'll see what happens Friday. But anyway, this is part 3. So today, I actually don't have a lot of notes. I've just got one problem to do. This is what happens when the graph does not hit the x-axis. Because remember, to find the solution, it's the place where the graph hits the x-axis. So I think was it yesterday? No. On Monday, I went over graphing quadratic equations and solving them. And I believe problem number 3 is when that vertex was above the x-axis and we put no solution. But this particular problem is not a no solution. So actually that number 3 from Monday's notes, you're going to need for today's work. Today's assignment's only going to have 4 problems. Easy, I think it's a nice easy day. You've got 1 problem for your notes and then 4 problems that you're going to do. And 2 of those 4 problems are going to be a no solution. The other 2 are going to be like this one. So we only have 1 problem to do. It's this one. Y is equal to x squared minus 2x minus 8. So whenever we're graphing a quadratic equation, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to find the x part of the vertex. So I'm going to do negative b over 2a. Let's make sure this kind of zooms in. Okay, so my a is 1. There we go. Remember, it's ax squared plus bx plus c. So my a is 1. The a is in front of that x squared. The b is negative 2. So I'm going to take these 2 numbers and substitute in. Now it's a negative b, so this is a negative 2. I'm going to take the opposite of a negative 2, which is a positive 2. And then I'm going to do 2 times 1. I'm taking this 1, I'm putting it in for a. So 2 over 2, that's giving me 1. So the x part of my vertex is 1. Now I'm going to take this 1, and wherever I see an x, I'm going to put a 1. So let's do that work over here. So I've got 1 squared minus 2 times 1 minus 8. So I took this 1, I put it in here and there. So this becomes 1 minus 2 minus 8. When I do that math, 1 minus 2 is negative 1 minus 8. That's a negative 9. So that's my vertex. So when I create my table, remember for my x values, I'm doing 2 before 1 and 2 after 1. So I've got negative 1, 0. And I've got 2 and 3. Let's see where I'm going to put this table. I think I'm going to put it right over here. So let's set up our table. I've got my x column. I've got my x squared. I'm not going to write the y. I don't really need to. I mean, you can if you want. You don't really have to. I'm going to do negative 1. I'm going to put it right in this order. -1, 0, 2, and 3. -1, 0. Whoops. It's a little off. 2 and 3. All right, let's substitute in. So I'm going to take that -1. -1 squared is 1. I'm not going to show too much work here. -2 times -1, that's a +2 minus 8. Let's do that work. 1 plus 2 is 3. 3 minus 8, that's giving us -5. Let's substitute in 0. 0 squared is 0. -2 times 0 is 0. I mean, I could put -0 if I wanted. It doesn't matter. It's still going to give me 0. -8. We'll make that a minus. Probably should be. There you go. And then that's giving us -8. Now, I should be able to predict this is going to be -8 and this is going to be -5. If it doesn't, I've done something wrong. Let's substitute in 2. 2 squared is 4. -2 times 2 is -4 minus 8. 4 minus 4 is 0. 0 minus 8, that's giving us -8. Let's substitute in 3. 3 squared is 9. -2 times 3 is -6, and then -8. So 9 minus 6 is 3. 3 minus 8, -5. Perfect. So my only issue is I don't see my 0 in the table. In order to give the solution, I don't know if I stated this before, but when I see a 0 here, that's telling me this would be my solution. But if I take a look, I don't see it, but let's graph it. This is not a no solution. You're still going to have to graph it. So let's graph -1, -5. My next point is 0, -8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then I've got 2, -8. Whoops, there we go. And then I've got 3, -5. Now, if you take a look, my graph only has 4 points. I am missing my vertex. I've got to graph the vertex. The vertex is 1, -9. So let's put that vertex. Okay. Well, there's my graph. And if I take a look at this, it does not hit the x-axis, but it eventually will. So if I continue with this graph, where do you think it's going to hit the x-axis on the left side? It looks like -2. The only way that I know for sure is to use my table. So here's what I usually do. If I'm adding on to my table, whoops, I usually go like this. I do a little squiggly line. And I'm going to add on. That means I'm adding on to my table. So if I put this in and this is a 0, then that's going to be my solution. If it doesn't, I'm going to have to test another number, probably -3. But let's see what's happening on the other side. So I'm predicting it's going to be here. And then I'm also predicting 1, 2, 3. It looks like it's going to be 4. I don't know. It looks like it's -2 and 4. I have to substitute that into my table. Now, if I substitute in these values and I get 0, then I know these are my solutions. So let's see. -2 squared, that's giving me a +4. -2 times a -2 is a +4. -8, let's do that work here. 4 plus 4 is 0, 0. I'm sorry. 4 plus 4 is 8. 8 minus 8. Yep, that's giving us 0. That's going to check. Let's check 4. 4 squared is 16. -2 times 4 is -8 minus 8. Let's do that math. 16 minus 8 is 8. 8 minus 8. Perfect. That's exactly what I want. So I'm going to go back to my graph, and I'm going to graph -2, 0, and I'm going to graph 4, 0. And there is my graph. So that means my solution is -2 and 4. We call that extending the table. okay? Extending the table. What I mean by that is I'm extending this table so I can see if I'm getting zeros in my y. If I'm getting zeros here, then that means these numbers are my solutions, which they are. So today's work, you're going to get two problems like this where you have to extend the table and then make sure you graph the solutions. And then the other two are going to be a no solution. Remember, if the vertex is up here, you don't have to draw this, but here's my quadratic equation. This graph will never hit the x-axis. That means this is a no solution. This one will have a solution. The vertex is below the x-axis. Remember, this is the x. This is the y. So if your vertex is below the x-axis, it will always have two solutions. If your vertex is right on the x-axis, you'll have one solution. And then if your vertex is above that x-axis, I'm going to have no solution. But keep in mind, that's only true when that leading coefficient of that quadratic term is a positive. Later on, we'll be looking at when it's a negative, but right now we're just focusing on that. Okay, let's try some.